Alright. Round 1. I'm excited to play with this deck. Oh. Stop. Would it please? Yes, I'd love to play first. Just what? We need a couple more lands. This could probably be good though. We'll keep it. Trying like a Knight of the White Orchid would be sweet. Alright. Yeah, this hand just got a lot of good cards in it. So, I don't know. And it's got removal. So our opponent appears to have F6 through their turn. Alright, another plains. This one does not match the other one. Worth noting. It's a little tilting. Alright, so our opponent discarded a mountain. Maybe mono red? Mono red. Ooh, insolent neonate. Okay. That's not mono red. Depending on what I draw here, I might Declaration and Stone it. I think I can wait. It's likely that my opponent will have something that's more threatening than Insolent Neonate, although Insolent Neonate on its own can block Gideon. Alright, so red-black might indicate vampires more than red deck wins. Like, I have so many strong plays as soon as I draw lands that I'm less worried about this guy. Tormenting Voice, discarding Swamp. Perfectly reasonable. Secure the Waste is actually a great draw here because it can double block the Insolent Neonate. So I'm definitely going to fire this off. I also still don't really like the idea of Declaration and Stoning Insolent Neonate. Although my opponent could just discard friggin' some youths. Obviously not an ideal use of Secure the Waste, but we've got so much gas in hand. We will double block. And, you know, we have to double block because Menace, but that's fine. Okay, so our opponent sacrificed their Insolent Neonate to play Asylum Visitor, which is reasonable. If our opponent needed to, like, draw a card. However, I think that killing one of the warriors there might have also been an option that our opponent could have considered, just because these can still block the Asylum Visitor. I think we pass next turn if our opponent plays a land. We can play Knight into Declaration and Stone, which is pretty cool. Although our opponent doesn't appear to be playing lands either. I'm not in a hurry to Declaration the Asylum Visitor. Our opponent might be okay. Never mind. Since our opponent's deck seems to have a pretty low converted mana cost, I can see discarding swamps, or discarding lands to Tormenting Voice and Insolent Neonate regardless. But this deck, of all of the decks that I can think of off the top of my head, apart from like red deck wins, probably suffers the least from skipping a land drop. Ooh. I could just double Knight instead of casting Declaration in Stone. Yes. I don't think I double knight though. Specifically because if my opponent plays another land, then, well, I get another knight. I get another land. So, full art, not full art, whatever. There's no difference. I'm not sure I should be playing out this Declaration in Stone. I don't think I will. If my opponent plays a land and I draw a land, then I can play knight into one of my 4-drops, which is pretty cool. I'm still not super worried about what my opponent's doing here. Fire Temper's fine. It could kill a knight. That's just PG. I've got my webcam in a different spot. Yep, that's totally cool. Don't blame me for doing that. I like that my opponent's cycling through all their cards. It makes me hopeful that they're just going to play another land. Ah! Hooray! And they have another one in hand, which may or may not be discarded. So the Vampire's deck has matching lands, it appears. Yep, the Vampire's deck has matching lands. We do not. Falconroth Gorger is a kind of cool engine card. That might be something worth Declaration and Stoning. Because our opponent can Tormenting Voice, discarding any vampire, and be able to cast it as long as they have the mana. Olivia's Bloodsworn being one of them. Alright, so hopefully Archangel Avacyn will do quite a bit of work. Olivia's Bloodsworn can give itself haste, or any other vampire for that matter. Yep. And our opponent appears to be pretty cautious about attacking with their Asylum Visitor still. No blocks. So, worst comes to worst, I can play Knight, deck the Bloodsworn. Yeah, alright, well, guess we are not ever drawing another land. So, it's a good thing we have these Knight of the White Orchids. We got the ground pretty well cared for, so I would like to make sure that our opponent can't deal too much damage to us in the air. Okay. So they can sacrifice this to cast any other vampire that they so desire. Archangel Avacyn seems good here. I'm probably just going to play that. Could also play Thraben Inspector and Gideon. I think I just play Archangel Avacyn. I need to start putting pressure on my opponent. And, you know, if our opponent kills one of our guys, well, then we'll trigger it. Ravenous Bloodseeker is another sweet vampire with Falconroth Gorger. Obviously, every vampire... the sacrifice cost is free, which is what's great about Insolent Neonate and Ravenous Bloodseeker. Isn't on the battlefield. So, Insolent Neonate, because it's not on the battlefield, has madness. Avacyn's gotta be on my opponent's radar. Although if they kill it, it's not a huge deal. Alright, Battlefield Forge. Could play Sorin. Start drawing cards. I like that. Part of the reason I wanted to play this deck was because I could add Sorin. I'll be real. So, take every opportunity to play the gentleman. Hangerback Walker. Oh, that's an awkward hit. Although, with Hangerback Walker I can flip Avacyn at will, which is one of the sweet things about playing Hangerback Walker in this deck. Although it ostensibly doesn't have a lot of synergy with one of the headlining cards in the deck, which is Eldrazi Displacer. Against vampires. And I also had any Silk Wraps. I don't think Thought-Knot Seer is all too impressive. And can probably set out a Declaration in Stone too. I don't actually need all of that removal, and I think that switching Declaration in Stone for Silk Wrap is actually a pretty good upgrade. Sneak. Double Knight, Silk Wrap on the draw. This card is... I underestimated this card at first when I saw it in Magic Origins. I'm used to it in the context of, like, Commander, honestly. So, like, it didn't seem... It was like, oh yeah, that's cute. No, it's actually just nuts. So I can Silk Wrap on turn 2, is I think what I want to do. Secure the Wastes is a nice draw when I'm planning on playing a bunch of Knight of the White Orchids. It does have the swamp, so it's not like they're going to miss any land drops. Ooh, I see what you did there, opponent. No, that's okay. I'm still running out Silk Wrap. I can miss my land drop too. Let's Secure the Wastes. Now the question is, do I miss my land drop? I think the answer is yes. Alright, cool. We got there! I'm not gonna cast Secure the Wastes here. I think that hitting our 4th land is way more important than hitting our 3rd land. So that's why we missed our land drop there intentionally. And we have so many 2s in this deck, guys. We have Hangerback Walker, for example, that'd be a sweet draw. Or another Silk Wrap, for sure. Declaration in Stone also works. So I'm gonna play a Knight. Yes. Land, Declaration in Stone there. Yeah, that was great. The next turn we can play Gideon, potentially missing our land drop again. Just to see, yeah, our opponent does have another land, so. Goodness, this is exciting. I love playing with Knight of the White Orchid, I've decided. Tormenting Voice, discarding Fiery Temper. Okay. I'm really glad that the Fiery Temper is not being used to kill a Gideon. The one awkward thing about Knight of the White Orchid in this deck is that since there are no Battle for Zendikar lands that tap for, like, that are plains and swamps, you can't fix for Sorin, like you could with, like, a Prairie Stream in your Knight of the White Orchid deck. Which means that this Battlefield Forge, while being probably essential, I'm gonna go ahead and say essential to this deck's function, is not exactly the Nutter Butters. Alright, Westfield Abbey was a good draw. With Secure the Waste, it finishes the game quite quickly. I'm just gonna play Gideon and make a token. If my opponent expends some resources to kill Gideon, the hope is that they had to play their land to do it, so that I can get up to 6 mana. Although, having 6 mana for Sorin doesn't do a lot when I don't have a black source. Did in fact my land. So my opponent can attack with Insolent Neonates. That's probably going to happen. I probably wouldn't attack with Falconwrath Gorger here. Unless I might have, like, a Stensia Masquerade. Let me tell you how many times I've gotten blown out by Stensia Masquerade in Limited. It's a lot. So the Fiery Temper being cast before damage makes me think that it's being pointed at the Knight ally. In which case, depending on my opponent's hand, I guess. Yes. It could have been hard cast first main. And my opponent would have gotten in for 3 damage. Or it could be... Or they could have attacked with the Insolent Neonate and killed the Gideon with the Fiery Temper post-combat, either by discarding it to the Insolent Neonate's ability or not. Oh, gross. Okay, I guess I understand why our opponent wanted to keep the Falconwrath Gorger safe, then. I don't agree with it. I also don't agree with playing the Ravenous Bloodseeker rather than flipping this guy. Alright, cool. I think I still want to just put a 2/2 out. And then the question is, how many Fiery Tempers do I think my opponent has? Because if it's greater than 0, I might not want to play the Eldrazi Displacer. I still probably do. I think it's good enough. Or I could cast Secure the Waste for 3, untap. I don't think I'm actually going to have Gideon around for a long time, so I think I'm just going to play Eldrazi Displacer. Eldrazi Displacer keeps their Falconwrath in line, yeah. Keeps the Heir to the Night from being a thing. Also resets Ravenous Bloodseeker. Alright, so opponent is flipping their Heir. That's fine. And I'm pretty okay with whatever's going on as long as my opponent is focused on killing Gideon. Like, pretty sure Displacer just blocks Gorger, and Knight just blocks her up in Bloodseeker. And we're not too worried about it. Also, oh, alright. I was about to say. Also, Eldrazi Displacer and 4 other like 2 colorless sources with 4 other lands is pretty good. I think I just make another Knight and play my Thraben Inspector. I can crack the clue, and I can... Alright. This opponent did not want to play that one out. That's unfortunate. Oh. Hello. Alright. So that was round 1. Not against a tier 1 deck, admittedly, but you still got an idea of how the white deck played out. So I will see you in round 2, and hopefully it goes just as well.